You might have noticed my video about Gurney Shopping Centre where I purchased these amazing boots from the boot barn. On this occasion, I want to take you through my shoppings at Neiman Marcus and Macy's in Lombard and Chicago outlets in Aurora. So this is called Chicagoland because it stretches for around 30 miles from downtown Chicago. And what is different in the United States is that you don't find only major shopping centers in the major cities as you have in London. For example, there is Selfridges, Harrods, there is John Lewis, and so many other big department stores, more like. Well, in the United States, the big shopping centers are spread not only, as I said, in downtowns, but throughout the state. Why? Because most of the people live outside the big cities for safety, for peace of mind, for better value of just about everything, better quality of life. You can have a bigger house and you can drive on the motorway from A to B. So, as every good shopping day starts with a good meal, as you saw earlier on, one of my favorite restaurants with lots of branches throughout the United States. Now we are at Neiman Marcus in Lombard. This is also the place you might have noticed in 2021 as I arrived in the United States. There were there were some people stealing from Louis Vuitton at this location. So SWAT was involved and everything was shown on TV, how all the people had to get out of the shop with the hands up. So this is not a good shopping experience. These kind of things do happen in the United States, and unlike, say, the UK, everything is shown on TV, so very rarely is not shown on TV. Right. You might have noticed from the previous videos, I love perfumes and I have hundreds of perfumes, and I always have to stop for more perfumes, and Creed I really love is an excellent perfume. Whatever smell you choose, they are simply amazing. Most of them you feel like getting not 1, 2, but 10, 12, and they've got a huge variety. But the thing is, they're rather expensive, like over $100. Another one that's a very interesting thing I found, let me stop you here. This is a present I received for Christmas. Instead of that mini spray, it was a beautiful Chanel soap, which I'm using until now. So even Chanel soaps really smell very nice. Right, so I started talking about things, designer things you find in Europe as opposed to United States. So typically, of course, they're going to be cheaper, like Chanel or any other French brands are going to be cheaper in France, a bit more expensive in the UK, and rather expensive in the United States. The same applies to American items. So American designers, for example, Donna Karan, Tom Ford, and so on, they are cheaper in the United States and more expensive in Europe, in the UK, in France, and so on. And this Dolce & Gabbana bag, I have got something similar to that, got in Europe. So here is very, very expensive in the United States, unless you go for sales. I was at Neiman Marcus and Macy's during sales in, I think, December or January, and at Chicago outlets Aurora I was later on, I think in March or April. Due to having so many trips this year, I did not have time to actually upload these videos. What I found in the United States, as I mentioned earlier on, Tom Ford, for example, is very cheap. And the very first time, it was some years ago, I think back in 2017, I was in Las Vegas at one of these shopping malls just outside Las Vegas, and I noticed that Tom Ford dresses, office dresses, beautifully made, they were around like $40-50, whereas these dresses in Europe cost like 120 pounds. I saw some time ago, I think it was at TK Maxx or TJ Maxx. I'm very confused now which is which. I think in Europe, in London is TK Maxx, well in the United States is TJ Maxx, which reminds me, items you find at TJ Maxx in the United States or Burlington, there is another shop chain, they are so much cheaper, and you find even items from the UK. Like I purchased the other week from Burlington, from TJ Maxx, I purchased some boots, creams, number 7, which normally in the UK cost around like 20 something pounds. Well, I got it here for some $6, which was simply amazing. Well, now we are at Macy's. So Macy's in Lombard is like wall in wall with Neiman Marcus, and they have got designer brands, but not as many as you find at Neiman Marcus. So for designer brands, Neiman Marcus is a place to go at this location. Macy's still has lots of designer, mainly cosmetics, perfumes, some clothes, some shoes, but as I mentioned, yes, if you want for designer, you have to go to Neiman Marcus. Next, we are going to move to Chicago outlets in Aurora. Aurora is some 35 miles from downtown Chicago, and just like Gurnee and many other shopping centers, there are lots of places like this spread throughout Illinois and throughout all the other states. If you noticed in Florida, if you noticed in California, the same situation applies to all the states in United States. The same situation also you find in Canada. I noticed outside Toronto there are lots of malls, and I'm going to upload a video in the following weeks or maybe sooner of my trip in Toronto. Once again, I keep going there quite a lot, and for the first time I went to this mall, which was great. Now, this mall, Chicago Outlets Aurora, is spread in the style of the malls you find in Florida. So as you can see, you access every shop from this main area. So it's designed like a little village with lots of shops, anything from Michael Kors, Tom Ford, Donna Karan, everything reduced. So it's not the high prices you find like downtown Chicago, and if you are in sales time, everything is even cheaper. So it's worth joining these locations and receiving their newsletters to learn about the sales they have when, because they have got sales quite regularly. I also found Molten Brown, so clearly it's more expensive in the United States than in the UK. Molten Brown I found at the Bicester Village, very, very good value for money. Here clearly is a bit more expensive. And of course, no shopping trip is finished without a stop at the local gelato or ice cream shop. As ever, I hope this was of help to you to learn how to plan your trip. Thank you for watching.
Right.